Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa DravidaAcharyas Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharyas Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa DravidaAcharyas Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Isopanisad Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So, this being the glorious disappearance day of Jagannatha Das Babaji and Rasikananda Prabhu, we will read about them first and then we'll read the Isopanisad. Okay. Okay. On this 24th day of February 2020 in SanDiego, a reading from Shri Isopanisad, translation commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and we are in Mantra 13. But before we read that, we're going to read the glories of Shri Jagannatha Das Babaji, whose disappearance is today. Siddha Jagannatha Das Babaji Maharaj lived for 144 years. He took Diksha from Shri Madhusudan Das Babaji and did bhajan for many years at Suryakund in Vrindavan. Thakur Bhakti Vinod received valuable instructions on pure devotional service from Jagannatha Das Babaji, but he did not receive Diksha. His practice was to live 6 months in Sri Navadvip Dham and 6 in Brajmandala. During this time, said Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Sri Jagannatha Das Babaji was the most advanced Rasika Vaishnava in Gaur, that's Navadvip, and Brajamandalas. Purushottam Chaitra Jagannath Puri, and Purushottam Chaitra Jagannath Puri. Close quote. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave him the title Sarvabhauma, the chief of the Vaishnavas. At 125 years old, his body appeared bent like a semicircle. His eyelids hung over his eyes like heavy stage curtains. Standing on either side, 2 disciples would lift his droopy eyelids so he could offer tulsi manjaris to his deity of Shri Giriraj Govardhan. Since Jagannatha Babaji could barely walk, Bihari, his Brajvasi servant, used to carry him on his shoulders. But whenever there was Nam Kirtan, Jagannatha Babaji would bolt out of his basket and leap 4 feet into the air. 4 feet into the air. In great ecstasy, he would begin to sing and dance. He performed vigorous bhajan despite physical limitations. He was fond of chanting loudly in both japa and kirtan. During kirtan, he would sing, Nitai ki nama eche re, ki nama eche re, ki nama dideche re. O Lord Nityananda, what a wonderful name you have brought. O Nitai, what a wonderful name you have given. After chanting almost the whole night, the next morning he would offer 1,108 dandavats to the deities. He was always enthusiastic to serve the Vaishnavas. He lived as an ascetic, following a strict diet and the yearly Chaturmasya 4-month fast. The first month he ate only 4 bananas in the evening. The second month only guavas. The third month only whey. And the 4th month only boiled banana flowers without salt. Once he begged a roti or flatbread from a Vrindavan street sweeper. Hearing about this, the leading men of Vrindavan said to Jagannatha Babaji, Baba, you are the Krestula of Braj. It pains us to hear anyone criticizing you. But now everyone is talking against you. They're saying, Baba's gone mad. If he defies the age-old traditions, what will happen to society? Babaji Maharaj replied, You are all learned people. Don't you know the importance of the dust of Vrindavan? It is so surcharged with Krishna prema that even Lord Brahma desires to become particle of Braj. Raja means dust. So that's dust of Vrindavan. Therefore, isn't a Vrindavan sweeper who is constantly serving the dust, breathing it, rolling in it, and bathing in it, more pure than anyone else? Silence filled the air, indicating everyone's acceptance of Babaji Maharaj's reply. While living in Navadvip Dham, Jagannath Das Babaji showed deep respect toward all residents. Even when some puppies ate from his plate, he didn't protest. Bihari, his servant, became disgusted to see dogs devouring his guru's prasadam, and he drove them away. Jagannath Das Babaji scolded Bihari. These puppies are residents of the holy Dham. They're not ordinary living entities. I will not eat until they come back to share the Mahaprasadam from my plate. At the age of 142, he couldn't see or walk. To confirm his findings, Thakur Bhaktivinoda, to confirm his findings about the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, requested Jagannath Das to see Lord Chaitanya's appearance place. Intoxicated with Gauranga Prem, Jagannath Das Babaji leapt high in the air and began chanting and dancing at the discovery of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Yoga Peeth. Quote, it says, out of compassion for all the conditioned souls, Jagannath Das Babaji transferred his power of bhajan, knowledge of the Shastras, and prema bhakti directly into the heart of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Jagannath Das Babaji had many disciples. He often gave the following instructions. 1, you must avoid women, men who associate with women, or with a man who in any way associates with a man who associates with a woman. 2, to realize the supreme goal of life, you must repeat Harinam regularly and steadfastly. Steadiness is so important that it must be maintained even at the cost of one's life. 3, never forget Gaur, Lord Chaitanya, who is more merciful and benevolent than Krishna. Krishna is like a just ruler who takes into account your offenses in his administration of justice. Lord Chaitanya does not take your offenses into account. Whereas Krishna is more interested in the dispensation of justice, Gaur is more interested in the distribution of mercy. From this point of view, Gaur Kirtan is more useful than Krishna Kirtan. Gaur Kirtan means Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. And my understanding is that he is the one who gave us that mantra, the Panchatattva mantra. Right? Yeah. And number 4, Krishna is the avatar of Dwapara Yuga. Gaur is the Kali Yuga avatar. We should sing the name and glories of the avatar in whose age we live. Just as in the kingdom, we must praise the ruling king. Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari. The Sonar Gauranga temple in Gopal Bagh, Vrindavan, houses Gaurnitai deities once worshipped in Suryakund by Shri Jagannatha Babaji. In Krishna Lila, he serves as Rasika Manjari. And we're going to read a little bit also about Rasikananda, who was a prime disciple of Shamananda? No. I think, yes, maybe Shamananda. Okay. And here we go. Yes. Shri Rasikananda Prabhu, Rasika Murari, appeared as the son of a king. He became a perfect sage, Gaudiya Vaishnava scholar, Rasika Bhakta, and the most beloved disciple of Shri Shamananda Prabhu. On Shamananda Prabhu's order, Rasikananda became the head pujari and served his guru's deity of Govindaji with total dedication. His attentive, loving service increased Govindaji's beauty and pleasure. Rasika Murari enchanted the devotees with his unprecedented deity service. After firmly establishing Govindaji's worship, he accepted Shamananda's order to preach. He traveled widely for 40 years. Now, it doesn't say where. It's in Orissa, wasn't it? Wasn't he? I mean, Shamananda went to Orissa, if I understand, isn't it? You don't know? He traveled widely for 40 years, influencing everyone with the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rasikananda delivered everyone from pious royal families to Muslims, outcasts, agnostics, atheists, and even wild animals. One time, some mad elephants attacked Rasikananda. Calmly, he chanted, Gauranga, Gauranga, Krishna, Krishna, while sprinkling water on the rampaging beasts. The elephants immediately stopped charging, humbly bowed their heads, raised their trunks, and bellowed, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Now, it was one that he initiated, wasn't it? Gopal. At the time of leaving, there's a nice book if you're interested. At the time of leaving his body, Rasikananda began a powerful kirtan. Then he left this world by entering into the Chirachor Gopinath deity in Ramuna, Orissa. Yes, Orissa, finally mentioned. Devastated in separation, his disciples dropped their mridangas, kartals, and their bodies. They also left. The Pushpa Samadhis of all these pure devotees stand near the temple. Rasikananda Prabhu's Pushpa Samadhi stands next to Shamananda Prabhu's near the temple of Radha Shamasundar. Amazing. All glories to Rasikananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Jagannatha Babaji. And now... Okay, so we are still in text 13 of the Isopanisad, and we'll read another portion of the purport. These are long purports. Prabhu wrote this book, as I mentioned, in India, and he didn't have established yet that principle of writing these shorter purports, so each purport is quite long. Okay. Anyadevahu sambhavad Anyadahurasambhavat iti shushmadhiranam yenastad vijachakshire Anyadevahu sambhavat Anyadahu asambhavat iti shushmadhiranam yenastad vijachakshire Anyadevahu sambhavat Anyadahurasambhavat 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 iti shushmadhiranam yenastad vijachakshire. Oh. Thank you. Anyadevahu sambhavat Anyadahurasambhavat iti shushrimadhiranam yenastan vidachakshire anyadevahu sambhavad anyadahura sambhavat iti shushrimadhiranam yenastan vidachakshire anyadevahu sambhavad anyadahura sambhavat iti shushrimadhiranam yenastan vidachakshire. It is said that one result is obtained by a Translation. It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping that which is not supreme. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it. And we'll pick up the purport here. Krishna clearly says that only those who have lost their sense worship the demigods for paltry rewards. This is in Bhagavad Gita 7:20 and 23. Ultimately, he advises that one give up all other ways and modes of worship and fully surrender unto him alone. Bhagavad Gita 18:66. Only those who are cleansed of all sinful reactions can have such unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord. Others will continue hovering on the material platform with their paltry ways of worship, and thus will be misled from the real path under the false impression that all paths lead to the same goal. Yatamat tatapat. In this mantra of Shri Isopanisad, the word sambhavad, by worship of the supreme cause, is very significant. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and everything that exists has emanated from him. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, the Lord says, I'll say, you say, Ahang sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitah. Krishna says, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Here is a correct description of the Supreme Lord given by the Lord himself. The words sarvasya prabhavaha indicate that Krishna is the creator of everyone, including Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And because these three principal deities of the material world are created by the Lord is the creator of all that exists in the material and spiritual worlds. In the Atharva Veda, the Gopal-tapani Upanishad 124, it is similarly said, he who existed before the creation of Brahma and who enlightened Brahma with Vedic knowledge is Lord Sri Krishna. Similarly, the Narayan Upanishad 1 states, then the Supreme Person, Narayan, desired to create all living beings. Thus from Narayan, Brahma was born. Narayan created all the Prajapatis. Narayan created Indra. Narayan created the 8 Vasus. Narayan created the 11 Rudras. Narayan created the 12 Adityas. Close quote. Since Narayan is a plenary manifestation of Lord Krishna, Narayan and Krishna are one and the same. The Narayan Upanishad 4 also states, Devaki's son, Krishna, is the Supreme Lord. The identity of Narayan with the Supreme Cause has also been accepted and confirmed by Shripad Shankaracharya, even though Shankara does not belong to the Vaishnava or personalist cult. The Atharva Veda, the Maha Upanishad 1, also states, only Narayan existed in the beginning, when neither Brahma, nor Shiva, nor fire, nor water, nor stars, nor sun, nor moon existed. The Lord doesn't remain alone, but creates as he desires. Close quote. Krishna himself states in the Moksha Dharma, I created the Prajapatis and the Rudras. They do not have complete knowledge of me because they are covered by my illusory energy. Close quote. It's also stated in the Varaha Purana, Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him the four-headed Brahma was manifested, as well as Rudra, who later became omniscient. Close quote. Thus all Vedic literature confirms that Narayan, or Krishna, is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita 5.1, also it is said that the Supreme Lord is Sri Krishna, Govinda, the delighter of every living being and the primeval cause of all causes. The really learned persons know this from evidence given by the great sages and the Vedas, and thus they decide to worship Lord Krishna as all in all. Such persons are called Buddha, or really learned, because they worship only Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Shri Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Shri Parampara. So, there's a lot of proof there that Krishna is God. And when you kind of associate with this movement, you read Prabhu's books, and you practice chanting Hare Krishna, serving the Lord, in whatever stage you may be, but if you're kind of in that mode, a good part of your free time, or time in general is spent in these things, then it kind of becomes part of you, is second nature, is that Krishna is God. That there is a God, and that Krishna is God. And this is really, I mean, it's almost like air. You don't think about it unless it's not there, unless there's some difficulty breathing. or the fish. Of course, they don't know anything because they're kind of dumb. But even if they could speak, they couldn't tell you what water is. What's water? It's just second nature. It's part of their life. So, but we see from this purport, and also if you go to the verse Prabhupada refers here to, 10.8, in which Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, the first of the four essential verses of Bhagavad Gita, it said. And Krishna is saying, everything comes from me, I've produced everything. You'll find in that purport many quotes like this, from the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, I think Narayana Upanishad, similar quotes, and some others, in which Krishna or Narayan is said to be the absolute truth, the source of everything. Now, why all this effort to prove Krishna is God? This is one of the blessings of the Hare Krishna movement in the West when Prabhupada came. Few people were thinking about God, or certainly not in a philosophical way or a personal way. And those that were really hadn't committed to anything. They were dabbling here and there. They had been confused, which was a great advantage over in India, where this Yatamat Tatapat idea has been propagated. Yatamat Tata means whatever is your path, you can take it and you lead to the same direction, the all one, the Brahman, oneness. And many other people had grown up in families in which other deities were worshipped equally or instead of Krishna, or they were familiar with Krishna and they thought they knew, I know Krishna, he danced with the gopis and this and that, And so they didn't take the Back to Godhead magazine. They didn't, probably didn't have much of an association, a society at that time. For a while he had Jhansi. But the point is that it's our great fortune, and there's probably something in the background of our lives that we're fortunate enough to come in touch with this movement, read Prabhupada's books, and come to the kind of basic faith in our lives that Krishna is God. Even if we can't worship him purely all the time, we have so many conditionings. But that basic principle, to accept it, is revolutionary in anyone's life. Now, what's the implications? Sometimes if you read, when you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you see Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Sanatana Goswami, which really are very foundational to our whole theology, if you will. There's by far the longest, most exhaustive teachings explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They're the basis of Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's exhaustive, what should I say, philosophical novel, in which he expounds on all aspects of the Krishna conscious philosophy. And the basis is those teachings. So, and as I was reading last night, to get that faith, Krishna has provided, he's provided various elements of help. Basically these three. The realized soul who takes the trouble to preach in the language that you speak, and make that available. The Shastra, of all varieties, and we've been given the essence. We know that the Bhagavatam is the essence of all the Vedas, and that those books that follow the Bhagavatam. Even the Bhagavad Gita we have, of course, predates the Bhagavatam. It was spoken by Krishna himself, and it's preliminary. But the commentary by which illuminates the Bhagavad Gita is based on the Bhagavat. It's written by Baladev Vijayabhushan, who's a disciple of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So that's also the same philosophy of the Goswamis that comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what I'm getting at is that, so Krishna gives us this help, the realized soul to teach us, the Shastra, and the super soul also. And it said there, okay, I didn't read the rest, the following verses in last night. But what Lord Chaitanya then explains is the entire Vedic corpus, all of the knowledge, can be divided into three things. Any other way of understanding the Vedas is Maya, he says. And that is Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. Understanding who is God, that there is a God, who is that God, and how does he relate to this world that I live in, and where do I fit in? What's my relationship to God and to this world? And on the basis of that understanding, then you can accept the practice, the Abhideya, with the ambition of achieving the prayojana, the goal. So those three things, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, all the philosophy fits in there. And you'll see that Jaiva Dharma or any... I once read this, I had this document, I can maybe dig it up, where Prabhu had analyzed, I don't know, at least 100 or more verses from the Bhagavad Gita, and he characterized them into one of these three things. It's a wonderful way of understanding the philosophy. Now, the basis of it all, sometimes you say, what is the Sambandha in the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Just as a shortcut, it says Krishna. Krishna Sambandha. Now, as soon as you say Krishna, it's not Krishna, it's Krishna and his energies, Krishna and his expansions. And when you talk about his energies, you're talking about the material world. This is such an important lesson from the 7th chapter, that whatever we see is connected to Krishna. It's coming from Krishna. So in one sense, says Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, this whole universe is Krishna, but it seems to be something else. Idam hi Vishram Bhagavan ivetara. Idam hi Vishram Bhagavan means this universe is Bhagavan. How is it Bhagavan? It's Bhagavan because of it's his energy. Just like the sun, the sunshine. All right, now it's light out. You don't have to see the sun. We know the sun is moving over there, right? But if you're intelligent, you understand that's the sun's influence. So when you see the sunshine, you say, oh, the sun is out. Similarly, when this is all Krishna shine, everything we experience is all our energies, including our own bodies, our own mind, everything. We got an aggressive mosquito there? Yeah. He's not sitting quietly, and therefore he has to leave the class. Just open that door a little bit. There you go. Thank you. Prabhupada said about mosquitoes, if they attack you, you can kill them. There's a pastime where Shuddhakirti is swatting all these mosquitoes that are trying to land on Prabhupada. What is the Isopanisad saying here? Is that you're going to go somewhere. Nobody's staying in this body. We're all moving. That's what the samsara means. That's what bhavasagra means. Change. It's all change. We're going somewhere. So where are you going to go? Whatever you worship. Now, as I say, we have to expand that understanding of worship. Some people don't worship any higher power or anything like that. Well, they think they don't, but they're worshiping. They're putting their attention on money. Some people worship the body. Bodybuilders and all this thing. What's the latest creatine that I can get? Spend it, build it up, look in the mirror. I was like that when I was like 15. Believe it or not, I used to lift weights. And so I didn't believe in God at all. That was like radical. That was part of my upbringing. But body, worship the body. So I can imagine if I kept doing that, where you go with that, you go down. That's animal life. Always, body conscious, safety, and everything. So there's always going to be something you put your mind on, and something that you work toward, even if it's just, the basic principles of eating, sleeping, and defending. So that's what you worship. Whatever you absorb your mind on and you work toward and you're looking toward some kind of improvement or safety, whatever it may be, that's rudimentary. And in present day world, there's still religion to some extent, but most people, they're worshiping their phones, That's where they're getting all their information, and they're measuring their life, In other words, they're absorbed in the external energy and all of its amazing variety, phantasmagoria, and somehow or other, this is going to give me safety. And there's an increase of anxiety, depression, alienation, loneliness, because it's totally unnatural. But who knows where they're going? They're not going back to God, that's for sure. So, as human beings with higher intelligence, when we know this principle, we can decide what to worship. And the basic principle is here in the first two lines, which is, I think, is repeating. Anyad evaho sambhavat. You get a different result by worshiping the Sambhavat, the Supreme Lord, than you do from worshiping that which is asambhavat, anything different from the Supreme Lord. It just goes. It's just logic. It just makes perfect sense. And so, Prabhupada is spending time here in this portion of the purport, explaining and proving, according to the Shastra, that Krishna is God and you should worship him. He's shown that in other places. What's the advantage? It's just like an investment, okay? The investment. The financiers, the people who are absorbed in the money, they want to know where can I invest. It's energy, their energy, that the hard-earned money, or whoever they got it, how can I increase it, right? So they look for something that's the best chance of increasing, and they put their money there, and then you're absorbed in that. You're kind of worshiping money by doing that. So that's obviously a misguided investment. You're putting your money in the wrong place, and what you're going to get back, even if you get more money, is just going to entangle you more. So understanding the basic philosophy that we want to get out of this bondage of material life, which is restricting our knowledge, restricting our pleasure capacity, and ultimately is fatal for, is just keeping us bound hand and foot in this material energy. If we accept that understanding, then we can decide what should we worship. And obviously we should worship the Supreme. There's these prayers that we utter, sometimes you don't realize there's a logic to them. Just like this song we sing. Namo Namo Tulasi Krishna Presi Namo Namo. Radha Krishna Seva Bhava Eyabilasa. This is what I want, and this is the goal I have, and I'm worshiping you to help me get the goal. Pure love for Radha Krishna. Yeto Mara Sharanaloi, Tadavanchapu. Whoever takes shelter of you, you fulfill his desires. In other words, you're powerful. You can fulfill the desires of everyone, and this is what I really want. Please make me your maid servant, so that I can always be absorbed in the Radha and Krishna pastimes. But the idea is that first you're glorifying the person. Remember, some of you were around when I analyzed what vandanam actually means. Vandanam is one of the 9 processes, right? And we often say it was prayer. But then we say, Vandeham Shri Guru, I bow down to you. So vandanam also has this obeisances aspect, right? And if you study the prayers in the Bhagavatam, they almost also have this third element among the prayers. Not every prayer may have all the elements. And that is glorification. So you have glorification, obeisances, and articulation of request, of some request. That's the prayers. So now the glorification aspect is your defining, you're expressing why I'm praying to you, Krishna, because you're the Lord of the universe. Nadanang nadanang nasundadim kavitam mam Jagadish kamiye. Jagadish, this Lord of the universe. So I'm expressing, first of all, what I'm not praying before, then I'm expressing what I'm praying. If someone is the Lord of the universe and all-powerful, then they can give all protection and they can provide what you need, you see? So you can't go to some boss or some material leader and say, oh, you're Jagadish, please give me what I want. No, you know that the powers are limited, so within those you ask what you want. But we need the greatest benediction of all. We're not asking for money, we're not asking for safety even. We're asking for liberation from this world and eternal place at your lotus feet for to give eternal service. So we can be situated at that and experience the highest ecstasy. That's there. So the only one who can give that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why it's so important to regularly renew our faith and our confidence that Krishna is the God and that we're his eternal servants, and therefore it makes sense to pray to him, to chant, and to follow his teachings and to follow his followers. So that's what Prabhupada is doing here. He's giving all kinds of proofs that Krishna is God. There's a lot of this have to do with Narayan, but first he meant, yes, Narayan is the first expansion of Krishna. It's not the other way around. There's that misconception, all kinds of misconceptions that you may find in India or other places. But, we have full faith that Krishna is God. That's what is called the Paribhasa Sutra in the Bhagavatam. It's good to know these. This is like just one part of a verse, one line of a verse. You've probably heard it before. Ete changsa kalapangsa krishnastu bhagavan swayam. That krishnastu bhagavan swayam, I think, is the Paribhasa Sutra. Maybe it's that whole line. But what this is in the 3rd chapter, 1st canto, 28th verse, I believe. And the context of the verse is that he's just gone through explaining and describing so many of the Leela avatars. He mentions Lord Nrsingadev, Varahadev, Kurmadev, others who aren't even Vishnu Tattva, like the Kumaras, I think, are in there, Narada Muni, who are empowered, Shaktavesha avatars. And after the whole list, he says, all of these are either plenary portions of Krishna, they're full expansions, or portions of the plenary portions. They're powerful, but not quite on the level of Vishnu Tattva. You see what I'm saying? But Krishna's tu means but. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Bhagavan Swayam. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. I told you this story. We used to have, remember when everyone used to send these physical letters way back in the Pliocene era? And you'd get, a letter in the mail and everything. And so organizations like the ISKCON, we had our letterhead. Each temple had its letterhead. And so I remember looking at the letterhead in Brooklyn, and that was at the top. They got this from Prabhupada, the letters he was sending. There's Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. There's a whole book written by that, to prove that. It's called the Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami. He wrote it after the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, so it's called Laghu. Laghu means lighter, Brihad means great, it's longer. So that's the whole purpose of the book. He describes all the other avatars, and he describes how they're part and parcel of Krishna, how his expansions, they display part of his power, but not all of it, like that. So once we're fixed in that understanding and believe that, then everything flows from that. Then it means so much to read his book, right? The Bhagavad Gita. You're hearing directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is another aspect I've thought about. Because don't forget, in the heart, as a super soul, Krishna is helping us. Now, how can we trust that he's going to give us good instruction? Well, why wouldn't he? The point is, he has everything already. He doesn't need to exploit us. The only reason that he would come here, what does he want to come here for from Goloka Vrindavan? You pull it. He's having the greatest time there, So the only possible reason is because he's doing it for our benefit, which is what he claims. He says, Tesham evanakam parta mahamajnana jamtamaha. That these 4 essential verses, we should really look at them. 10.8, 9, 10, 11 in the Bhagavad Gita. Because the last one, he's giving what corresponds with prayojana. Prayojana means the ultimate goal. Okay? Now the ultimate goal is going back home, back to Godhead. But what does that mean? It means coming to the point of absolute pure devotion. Uninterrupted and unmotivated. Simply for Krishna's pleasure. And our only pleasure. This, who is it? Jiva Goswami defined this. Bhajaniya Padamapurusha. I forget. This is my brain. But it's very simple. It means that pure devotion is defined as having one's only motive in fulfilling the desires and giving pleasure to the worshipable Lord. That's your only motive in life. You know, everything you do, every breath you take is with that in mind. Is this pleasing to Krishna? Am I doing something now that's pleasing to Krishna? Okay, let me keep doing it. And if it's not pleasing to Krishna, I reject it. You know, that's a very high standard. That's pure devotion. So, why would Krishna come here and take all this trouble? You know, I mean, it's nice to, you know, read about him killing the demons in Vrindavan, but that's kind of a hassle. You know, that's an interruption. In fact, he doesn't even do that. It's his Vishnu expansion that kills the demons. All that Krishna does is enjoy with the coward boys and the coward girls and his parents and the cows. That's his only business. And when there's something else to do, you know, kill the demons or even go to Dwarka and do all that, that's an expansion. That's a Vishnu expansion of Krishna. Yeah, you can read up on it. So, but still, he's coming to America. I mean, coming to America. He came to America all the time. But he came to Earth. And the only possible motive could be out of compassion, which is what he says. Tesham eva anukampartam. Anukampa is a word for compassion. And I like to give my, I admit this is a complete speculation, but Ramapati, am I right that kampa means trembling, right? So anukampa, anu means following. So sympathetic trembling. If I'm really love somebody and I'm attuned to their welfare and they're in trouble, then I'm going to also vibrate to that, you know? And I might even tremble in anxiety that they're not well. So Krishna, this anukampa is a word that means compassion, empathy. So he says, out of empathy, out of compassion, I destroy the darkness of ignorance in their hearts with the shining lamp of knowledge. Don't forget, this is one of the ways that he helps us as the Lord in the heart. So he enlightens us from within. And how do we get that enlightenment? He describes in the previous verses. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Those who are always linked to me with loving devotion. Bhajatam priti purvakam. That affection is so important. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadhami buddhi yogam tam. I give them the intelligence by which they can link to me. Buddhi yogam yena mama bhayanti tam, by which they can come to me. And then he reiterates in the next verse, and it's more personal, it's more, relishable, out of compassion, out of love. He destroys with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness of ignorance in our hearts. So this is our prayojana. When that ignorance is completely destroyed, and we're simply situated in bhakti, then the love is flowing. That's prema bhakti. It's already there. The prema bhakti is already there. We have to have faith in that. Lord Chaitanya says, Nitya Krishna Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte Kodayayudoi. This is again a teaching to Sanatana. The eternal perfection, Nitya Siddha, of Krishna Prema, is not something that has to be brought in from outside. In this context, the word sadhya means something that you're bringing from outside, that you don't already have already. So then, how do I realize it? Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte. By purifying your consciousness, beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering, etc., the 9 processes. Your consciousness becomes purified, and then it awakens. It's already there. It's just like coming back to health. If you get I had the most serious illness I had over the last few years is flu. A few years back, at around Christmas time. I was ready to get on a plane to go to Chicago, and I was just completely knocked out. I could hardly move. I was lying on the bed. So I didn't panic or anything. I just sort of, okay, I'll get better. And over the days, gradually got better. I had that potency of health. It was artificial to be diseased, Now, in the same way, as Prabhupada said, this whole material body is a disease. Ultimately, it's going to drag you down, and it's going to die, But we said, well, that's not my natural state. I have a spiritual body that's eternal, free of disease, free of rebirth, free of death. And that can be awakened. That can be realized. So that when you cast off this body, it's for the last time. It's the last time I want to get one of those. It's like you've been in a straitjacket for like 1 billion years. I don't want that anymore. Boom, and you're out. So that's what's promised by Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, and that's given in the heart. So it all keys, however, on our firm faith that Krishna is God, that Srila Prabhupada is pure representative, that what we're reading in these books and what we're practicing is the genuine article, and it really will produce the result. Now, one thing is, if we have a little faith, enough to start the process, it won't be long before we're feeling some of the good effects, right? So that's a very good nourishment for your faith, because it all depends on a deepening of the faith until you come to the point of nishta, pure faith, where you're absolutely convinced that all I need to do is the different processes of bhakti, which includes what you have to do to live, but it can be done in a way that is part of bhakti. And all of my aspirations will be fulfilled. Now, this is a radical departure from ordinary life, because it doesn't involve, worrying all the time about, making money and doing these material things. That has to be done minimally in order to keep body and soul together and do what you have to do. But that's not your goal, And therefore, it's a great liberation, that alone. The fact that you can be satisfied, with the simple accoutrements of devotional life. It's like when I go out, I always wear this clothes, And so, it definitely sets me apart. People look and, are you a monk? Occasionally I get that, whatever. But it's like, I'm looking at, here, walk up Garnet Avenue, and it's almost heartbreaking to see the lengths that people go to try to enjoy this whole tattoo thing, so much pain, get that on there, and eventually, they're trying to get a job, and you got some poor guy, I think he came to the feast with it, he had tattoos on his face, Oh my goodness, just put some tilak on, that's our tattoo, right? And it washes off, doesn't. That's our identity, right? It's symptomatic of people who don't know, who they are or what they want to be. They try to get this identity, that identity, make a statement, and all of this stuff. There's nothing on Garnet Avenue, except Sprouts, I got to admit, that I go into, to get some prasadam to offer, bhoga to offer. That would attract me at all. But isn't that freedom? It's freedom when you have the source of the inner happiness. You just chant Hare Krishna, or I like to chant some shloka, as I'm walking down, because I got these slokas that have rhythm to them, I don't need any of that stuff. So there you have liberation right there. You can't meditate on some movie figure or some Hollywood figure and get that. That's not going to satisfy you. It's conditioned. It's like boring, and then you find the person is isn't what they say they are or whatever. That's what material energy is. It's one change up after another. I used to believe that, but now I know the truth, and now I'm going to put my faith in this person. Oh, I've been betrayed, and then boom, you die, and then again, and if you're a human being, you're lucky, otherwise down you go to the animal life. So once you realize these things, you read the 5th canto. I just happened to read, in my work, I was dipping into the 5th canto, 26th chapter. I think that's the hell, the hells. The hellish, there's a whole description of hells you can go to. So, well, my goodness, so many people are doing that. They're just thinking about money all the time. And then the horrible thing, one who bears false witness, how much of that is going on? People throwing accusations all over the place. They drop you from, 800 miles down on your head on it looks like water, but it's actually stone, and your body's broken into a million pieces, but you're not dead. It happens again and again, because you don't die. You're just in your subtle body there. So, oh my God. Now, this chapter, those chapters are meant to awaken our compassion for these poor souls, which is what it did in Pariksit. He says, how can they be saved? And so Shukadev, what did he say? The whole thing. He said, they have to get prayaschitta. There are certain practices you can perform to negate or diminish your sinful reactions, But Pariksit correctly said, that won't work, because that doesn't affect their desire to perform the sinful activities. It's like an elephant's bathing. He goes into the river, gets very clean. He's got that syringe thing, what is like the trunk, so he can bathe himself, take a nice shower also, and then he's clean, comes out. Where's the towel? Where's the gamsha? It's too big, so he has to roll around on the bank and gets dirty again. So that's this prayaschitta. So that keys up the story of Ajamil. Ajamil is a whole wonderful story, how a greatly sinful person was saved just by accident, basically, chanting the name Narayan, which is Krishna. At the time of death, he had a little boy named Narayan. The Yamadutas are coming fierce, they're very angry, they're sharp eyes and everything, and they're coming to grab him the soul out of the body, But as that he's afraid, so he calls out Narayan. As soon as he says Narayan, the Vishnu Dutas come and stop the Yamadutas. They're more powerful. The Yamadutas are all confused. What? He did this. So many sinful activities his whole life. He was a criminal, he was a cheater. He is having sex into his old age. He has a little 4-year-old. He's 85 years old. This guy is ready for Yamaraj, punishment. And they laughed. The Vishnu said, no, you don't know the first thing about religion. And so when they went to Yamaraj and he glorified the holy name, he explained, don't anyone who chants the holy name, don't approach them at all. They were immediately purified as soon as they chant the holy name. So that's a very important chapter. But the point is that all of this works for us because we have enough faith to try the process, and we get a little more realization and the faith deepens. And it all depends on this one fact. We believe, we understand, we have full confidence that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He's present everywhere in His energies, and the process we're using to contact Him is bona fide and is effective, and if we follow it, we'll become pure and perfect and go back to Godhead. So this is one of the purports for Srila Prabhupada is following the lead of the Isopanisad here, giving us so much evidence that, yeah, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and we should try to serve Him. Oh my God, I went over time. Well, I had the reading in front. Does anyone have an urgent question or comment? Okay, we can end there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.